I could probably do this for about an hour, maybe 2 hours, but then people will tune out after the first 3 minutes, so I'm not going to do that. The problem all stems from Bears ownership, and while yes, they aren't cheap, they're still cheap. Um, the last four coaches they brought in: Mark Trestman, John Fox, Matt Nagy, and now Matt Eberflus. Three of them were rookie NFL head coaches with no head coaching experience anywhere. Uh, John Fox did have head coaching experience and some success. I think he got to a Super Bowl. But you could see he was just so done, so out of it, so tired. Um, but at least, guys played hard and whatever. So they hire on the cheap. They also hire guys that, and there's nothing wrong with this, are good church members, good people. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. But a head coach doesn't have to be a big church goer. I don't believe Mike Ditka was a big church goer. Maybe I'm wrong, but don't think so. And I don't even think he was a great coach, but I think he was a real good motivator, and it was the right man for the right, at the right time. So let's go with Matt Eberflus. Of the four guys, and they did a poll on AM 1000 today, which of those four was the worst coach? And I believe Eberflus won pretty handily. He may be a decent coach. He obviously knows football. All these guys know football. But the one thing I'll say about Nagy, who I thought was a bad head coach, is the first thing he did, or one of the first things, was hire Vic Fangio, an experienced defensive coordinator who was one of the better defensive coordinators in the league. The mistake Nagy made, the biggest mistake, was thinking that he was an offensive coordinator. He stinks. He's terrible at it. Eventually, the Chiefs will turn things back over to Andy. He will eventually run the offense again when, Nagy runs some of the crazy, silly things that he runs. But he does have a lot more talent, so some of his mistakes will be made up because he's got Mahomes, he's got Kelsey, and he's got Mahomes, and he's got Kelsey. I don't think Matt Eberflus was ready to be a head coach. It would have been nice if he had some college experience, but he doesn't. As far as head coaching, maybe he does. I don't know, but never heard of him before. The biggest problem is he hired a rookie offensive coordinator who's terrible. He came from Green Bay, an organization where the head coach calls the plays. So anybody that thinks that, if he came from that Green Bay offense with Aaron Rodgers quarterbacking it, and Aaron Jones, and some of the receivers they've had in the past, Devontae Adams, he must be a great offensive mind. Well, he's not. He stinks. He's horrible. He's terrible. We've had the worst offensive coordinators in Chicago of any team in history. I'm sure if they went back, they'd see that. This guy may be the worst out of all of them. He's terrible. He's destroying this kid's confidence, Justin Fields. Justin, he's got to take some of the blame. But, I watched some of these quarterbacks last night. They were missing passes. They were throwing interceptions. They were getting sacked. But they get to throw the ball down the field. They don't have patterns where guys are standing on top of each other, like the Bears have patterns of guys standing on top of each other. They don't run 3 straight screen passes in a row. We do. The other mistake that Eberflus made was not bringing in a defensive coordinator. So he brought in a guy who they had to resign because of things that we'll find out later, but they're not good. But the problem, and the defense Eberflus is running is a defense that if you've got much better players, it may work. But we don't have that. We don't have much better players. This is the type of defense that if you're up by 14 points and you want to slow the other team down, this will do that. But we're never going to be up by 14 points because the offense can't score 14 points in a game. First game, they go up against a basically, I call him a rookie quarterback. I know it's his third year, but it was his second game as a starter. Do we blitz once? No, we don't blitz once. So last week we blitzed a little bit, the second game. This past game, I don't think we blitzed. And if we did, okay, so you want to rush 4, you want 7 in coverage. Well, then everybody should be covered because there's not 7 guys going up for passes. But are guys wide open? Yes, all the time. So what's the point of having 7 guys in coverage if you're not going to cover everybody? Blitz, 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 blitz. Did you see what happened to Stafford last night? He got his ass handed to him because they blitzed, because they also have some good defensive ends. So another thing I have heard from, say, David Kaplan, who I like. He's a friend. My brother knows him. He used to live next to him. David Kaplan's on AM 1000. And I've seen it all over Twitter. Oh, they got to bring Lovie Smith back as the defensive coordinator, then make him the coach. Well, I lived through Lovie's years. Lovie sucks. Lovie's a horrible coach. Okay? Did he have success? Did he get to a Super Bowl? Yes. Well, gee, I'm going to look it up right now because I've got it here because I don't remember all of the names that are on here. But gee, Lovie had Brian Urlacher, a Hall of Famer. He had Lance Briggs, who should be a Hall of Famer. He had Peanut Tillman, who should be a Hall of Famer. He had Mike Brown, who would have been a Hall of Famer if his career wasn't cut short. It looks like Eloy just crushed one. He did. Hey, White Sox are winning 3-0. How about that? Woohoo! He had a bunch of other guys on defense. Adewale Ogunleye. Tommy Harris was a Pro Bowler that year. Tank Johnson was a run stuffer. Alex Brown was a solid player. Hunter Hillemeyer was a good linebacker. Nathan Vasher was a good corner. Chris Harris was an okay safety. Daniel Manning played some safety when Mike Brown got hurt. So the bottom line is Lovie had a great defense. It was a great defense. That's why they got to the Super Bowl. That's why Lovie won games. It wasn't because of his defense. In fact, when Lovie brought his cover 2 defense in, Brian Urlacher stopped getting sacks. Brian Urlacher was a better football player before Lovie Smith. But he was still a great linebacker because with Lovie's defense, Brian had to back up and go into coverage. And when you've got a middle linebacker with safety speed, I mean, he was just phenomenal. He was a freak. Hell, Lovie, I don't know if it was Lovie. Whoever his first coach was, I can't remember if it was Lovie or not. Whoever his first coach was, they had him an outside linebacker. That's how stupid these guys are. This guy's a middle linebacker. But anyways, let's not go back into the past. So forget Lovie Smith. Let him retire. Look what he did to University of Illinois. He stunk there. Look what he did at Houston last year. I mean, thank God they won that last game, and he did it despite his team because he knew they were firing him. So let's forget Lovie Smith. He sucks. Okay? They're not going to fire Matt Eberflus. They're not going to get rid of the offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy. There are defensive coordinators maybe out there that they could bring in, but they're going to have to run Eberflus's defense, so it doesn't matter. You can't play that defense with this team. You got to be aggressive. You got to gamble. You can't sit back. You don't have any defensive ends that can get to the quarterback. The new kid, 91, I can't pronounce his name. Okay, he has 3 plays every game. Maybe he gets close a couple of times. Big deal. He can't stop the run, and he's inconsistent. The other guys stink. It's just the next time that we hire a head coach, and hopefully that's soon, bring in a guy that's done it before. Bring in a guy that has a system. Bring in a guy that knows people, that knows an offensive coordinator. Because here's what's going to happen. We're going to go anywhere between 0-17 and 4-13. Okay? And, Eberflus is going to be all excited because we've done this good, we've done that good, and we finished strong. We won a game, in the last 4 games. We finished strong. So they're all going to be back. They're not going to bring Justin back. They're going to have, between the Carolina pick and this pick, they're going to have a number 1 pick maybe. And they'll take the kid from Caleb Williams from USC. What are they going to do to him? They're going to destroy him too. Why would you let a coach that is doing this to a kid like Justin Fields do it to another kid? I mean, if I'm the GM of the Bears, I fire Eberflus right now and say, hey, look, I made a mistake. I'm going to make this guy my, whoever it is on the staff, the interim coach. I'm going to do a search. I'm going to find somebody that's got experience. I want an offensive guy because I want him to work with my quarterback. I'm going to fire the offensive coordinator. I'm going to have one of the other guys on the staff have a talk with them. Let's find somebody that's willing to run a real offense that throws the ball down the field, that gets a running game going so that Justin's play action fakes work. Now, I've gone too long. Most of you won't listen to 10 minutes. I had to vent. I hope you watch it. I hope you enjoy it. I'm passionate. I love the Bears. But they're never going to be good as long as they keep running it like a mom and pop organization. I know they brought in a president. I know they're building a stadium. But you got to hire real coaches. I don't care if they go to church with you. I don't care their religion. I don't care their color. None of that matters. I mean, I don't want somebody who's a complete jerk, okay? I don't want somebody that's mean to people. But you can find a good human being that has an offensive mind, that can bring in a defensive coordinator like a Vic Fangio type. It can be done. Other teams are doing it. Look at Miami. Miami's unbelievable because they got a good offensive mind and a young head coach. The teams are doing it. It's possible. But my prediction is, at this point, 0-17. One more thing I want to add. Denver's coming in this week. Denver gave up 70 points last week. 70 points! You know how hard that is to do? I mean, you could almost not have defenders out there, and it'd be tough to score 70 points. That's not true, but... And they're favored. Coming into Chicago, they're favored by 3.5 points against the Bears. I mean, I would take Denver and give the points. That's what I would do, because this team sucks. I think the players are better than last year's players, but this team sucks because the coaches stink. They don't know what they're doing. Anyhow, I will be back. I hope you watch this whole thing. It's only 12 minutes and 21, 22, 23 of, minutes, seconds, whatever of your time. I hope I entertain you. Please, subscribe. If you have any comments, tell me what I can do better because I stink at this too. But I like doing it. It's fun. So I'm sure I will have some kind of Thursday night thing and some fantasy updates coming up. Y'all have a good rest of your evening and talk to you soon.